Hey Jazzy, today has been a day. This is teaching reflection after week 1. Tuesday, 6th of August 2024. Look, I know what overstimulation is. I have heard it, I have seen kids experience it. My German cousin once had a massive headache visiting Vietnam for a week because it was way too loud compared to the environment in Germany. I was born and raised in Vietnam. I love going to loud parties and concerts. So naturally, I thought I was immune to high decibel environment because of my childhood and my lifestyle. Safe to say, after 1 week of supporting students in a school, I am overstimulated, big time. During school time, you would hear constant noises, which you can block out like white noises. And then suddenly there is a bloody murder scream from nowhere, high pitched and strangely persistent. As a human being, when you hear a scream, it automatically unlocks your sense of fight or flight. Now, given that you are aiding students, you can't fight nobody and you're being paid not to fight. My own loud voices right now is currently hurting my head, and I will probably wrap myself in a silent cocoon just for a second. Anyway, the point of reflection is not to complain. Mr. Morgan's wise word is that if you don't come with a solution, don't complain. What I have learned is the toll that it takes, and I've had it easy. Firstly, my mentor SSO is very considerate, and he has put me in year 7 mesh primarily. This means that I can connect with them, and also as a mainstream class, they are not as hard as the class of learning difficulties. I've seen 2 of my colleagues cry in the last 1 week. Secondly, I am not a teacher. The act of discipline falls mainly on teachers. I can push them to get back on task, but authority-wise, the teachers are doing the work on top of teaching. I feel guilty sometimes about the lack of help I can provide for teachers as an SSO, but honestly, I have always had respect for teachers, and now it has only multiplied in folds. Lastly, it is not physically or mentally draining. In my situation, I am not carrying anybody, pushing any wheelchairs, stacking any boxes, so there's absolutely no hard labor. I am helping year 7. It's the most basic knowledge ever, and I've been strategically placed in literacy and HAS classes, but even if I was in science or numeracy class, I would not have to work too hard to understand the contents, so it's not a mental hole. Do you know what it is? It is socially exhausting. You are constantly hoping to connect with a bunch of preteens. I go home, even on a chill day where I spent most of the time just walking around class, it still feels like I need a break. Honestly, my mission is to figure out why I think I need a break. The vague idea is the overstimulation from noises and the constant need to remember names and connect with every single student. But I want specific details. Not as in like I don't deserve the break, just that if I know what had bothered me, I would find the right remedy to that problem. Good news is at least I have realized that I am stressed or that I'm feeling not well. Unlike year 9, in which I didn't realize until year 10, after I de-stressed to realize how stressed I was. In fact, I look back in year 12 now, and I'm actually shocked at how I didn't realize I was stressed in the last year of high school, when I would wake up in sweats or my heart would suddenly and randomly start beating really fast. You just get used to stress, and it's very scary. Anyway, Rosie and I think, once talk about how teachers are just heroes and mature in wannabe. I laugh about it and didn't totally agree with him, but I kind of see it now. I mean, I see it in you trying to connect with the misbehaving kids you tutor. In my situation, there's this really quiet kid who does no work at all, and he just reads. He does not disrupt anybody, but he does not engage. And somehow I had just made it my mission to connect with him and get him to do just one activity, at least one. I would talk for 5-10 minutes about the book that he's reading, and that's the only way I could get him to talk to me. And you know, if it was a movie, I would have reached a light in the tunnel and I would have had my good ending and changing one life at the time. Do you know what the reality is though? The moment school activities are mentioned, he shut down, I've lost him, back to square one. And that takes a toll on you. I've always cared too much, in school, in uni, in relationships, in whatever. And having that care throw back at your face can debilitate your morale. And it's not just that particular student. There are moments where you connect and get them to do work, and then just as quick as the next moment, you're having to do that work again with that same student or with another student. And in a particularly bad class, you feel the loss even if you can't control it. So, what do I need to learn? I need to learn that I shouldn't get hurt on one bad day. What my lecturer taught me is that you are not losing your rapport with the students if they are behaving badly that day. It is your reaction to their behavior that will affect the rapport that you have built. I also need to care less. Not about the students, but about my own ego. I can't win all the time. I can't control how rowdy recess was that would make transitioning into a class difficult. I can't control how much sugar they had, which would affect the high or crash afterwards. What I can control is not letting myself burn out. I hope to move on from survival mode one day, because right now the goal is to get them to do work. Doesn't matter what quality, as long as they're writing something, which doesn't sit right with me because they are incredibly passive in learning and not an ounce of passion is being ignited. I am telling them the answer most of the time, and they cannot see anything that is not directly in front of them. And that's not helping for learning in later years. On a bad day, survival mode meaning that they don't even have to do work, they just have to not disrupt other students. The bare minimum. In fact, the bar is below minimum, is hell. I'm just hoping that with times and familiarity, I can develop high but realistic and positive expectation of my students. Because right now, when they say childish things, or even worse, ignorantly sexist or homophobic or fat-shaming comments, I don't even have the mental capacity to teach them about social empathy, and I don't even have enough belief in them to have that social empathy. Okay, look, some of our friends have already reached out and offered their sympathy and well wishes, which I deeply appreciate. But despite all of these rather heavy observations that I'm making, I am really happy that I get to work in an environment that I will later teach on, because I am learning so much. I am picking up different teachers' techniques that I will use in the future. I don't feel like a failure or like teaching is not the job for me. I feel less of that burden nowadays because I see teachers struggling, which kind of make them human and make me realize that I am also human, that I will make mistakes along the way. I am so grateful that I get to work and make money and support myself. And there are obviously many moments in which the rapport that I built with my students brightened my day. One of the kids made a flower out of papers for me. Another fist bumped me on the way to class, and many incessantly call for my name for attention. So I wouldn't have it any other way. Well, I would have it another way where they all behave, but that's not the point. I'll see you on Friday, Jazzy.